we're going to be doing a lesson on signed numbers. So we started with an introduction to algebra last week. So we're going to continue with algebra. Part of what we need to do now is we have to really get a good grasp of what signed numbers are and how we use them properly. So the first thing that we want to talk about with regards to signed numbers is their meaning. In any of the math that we have done so far, we have looked at our plus and minus, right? Plus and minus as adding and subtracting solely, right? So if we need to add numbers together, then we use this plus, or if we have to subtract numbers from one another, then we use the subtraction sign, right? So this is something, very, very basic, and we've been doing this probably our entire lives. But in the signed number lesson that we're going to be covering tonight, the plus and minus symbol take on a different, we still use them for adding and subtracting, but we also use them for direction. And this is a concept that's very important for us, especially if we're going to get into machining or construction or any other trade. We need to understand how the plus and minus affects direction, because there's going to come a point that some of us are going to be able to work on CNC machines, no matter what our trade is. And understanding how signed numbers affect table travel, machine travel, is really important. So we're going to look at this right now. So we're going to do this by means of what's called a number scale. And if you've used a ruler, you've used a number scale. But we're going to look at the number scale on both sides of the zero. Okay, so here's our 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on this number scale, and the thinking here is something we want to carry through the rest of our math, because when we get into CNC programming, when we get into writing code, we really rely on this scale. Okay, so how the number scale works is basically everything to the right side of 0, which has no value but is still a number, right? 0 is a number. Okay, it has no value, but it's a number. So everything to its right is a positive number, right? And everything to the left is a negative number, right? So whatever the units are, it doesn't matter. What matters is that what we understand is that from 0, everything to the right is positive, everything to the left is negative. So what we need to be able to do is understand where numbers lie when we work across the number scale. For instance, let's jump over to how we write our numbers when it comes to our lesson in signed numbers. When we write any number without a sign, right? So let's write number 15, the number 27, 404. We write these numbers. We automatically know that these are positive numbers. We know that they're numbers that are on the right side of the equal sign. And if I said to you, even if you've never had a lesson in signed numbers, well, how do I know for sure? How do you know that those are positive numbers? Well, because they don't have a negative sign in front of them, right? We know that. For these numbers to have a negative value or a value below 0, they must have a negative sign. So if they're a number to the right of the 0, we can absolutely put a positive sign. But if there is no sign, in front of a number, then it is assumed to be a positive. Okay, so you can write it with a positive sign or without, and it will be understood to be a positive number. But if a number is negative, you must have a negative sign. Okay, if it is a number lower than 0, you must have a negative sign. So 3 things that we need to establish right at the beginning. We need to understand that positive numbers have a location that is right of 0. Okay, so if this was a physical line, any of these numbers, you would find them if they had a location on the right side of 0. And this number and this number, if they had a physical location, they would be found on the left side of the 0.